Guys, what's up? It's Mr. Sutton, and today's topic is going to be subtracting decimals, which should be a review for you guys, but we always need extra practice, and I always tell my students all the time, just because you think you know something doesn't mean you haven't mastered, so it's always really important to keep practicing and practicing over and over again. So we're going to start with 2.8 or 2 8/10 minus 9/10. So I've already kind of set up part of it, and again, remember, you want to make sure that you have that friendly little smiley face in the middle because our decimal points need to be lined up. Mine are a little crooked because I'm writing with a mouse on my computer, but for the most part, they're pretty straight, and I can see the smiley face, so I think we're good to go. So I have 8/10 minus 9/10, which I can't do, right? And if I split our sections, I can see that I'm going to need to borrow from our ones place. So I borrow 10/10. 18 minus 9 gives me 9, and 1 minus 0 gives me 1. And again, I know I made a joke about it last video, but please, please, please don't forget that decimal point. It's going to make your answer so different. Imagine if I said you only got 1.9 more years of school as opposed to 19 more years of school, right? You'd be furious with Mr. Sutton if I said you had 19 more years of school. So make sure that you put that decimal point there because it really changes the number. Next, let's try a different one. I'm going to change my color too. Let's do 112 minus, let's go with 88.8. 88.8. So now the hard part about subtracting decimals is when we were adding decimals, we were just adding the 0, right? And then we could just subtract 3. If it was 8 minus 0, we would just know it was 8 and it wouldn't really matter. But here we have to do the opposite. We're starting with 0 and we're going to add in our decimal point, and then we have to subtract 8 from 0. So again, if we split up all of our columns, tenths, ones, tens, and then the hundredths column over here, we can see that we're going to need to borrow again. So borrow 10 pieces from our ones place. 10 minus 8 gives us 2. 1 minus 8 we can't do, so we're going to need to borrow again. Make this a 0, right? Because we've taken all of it. Add the 1 up here. 11 minus 8 gives us 3. 0 minus 8 we can't do, so once again we're going to have to borrow. 10 minus 8 gives us 2. And then 0 minus 0 gives us 0. And then when we have all this complicated thing, we've drawn all these numbers, we've done all this really hard work, but again, would you rather be in school for 23.2 years or 232 years, right? So again, that decimal point is so, so, so important. All right, let's do one more. Let's do 245.7 minus 90. So here you might be asking yourself, well, Mr. Sutton, how do I line up the decimal points if they're not there? You know that the decimal point always comes after the ones place. So we have 90 zeros in our ones place, so we can add that decimal and then add that 0 in, and we can do it no problem now, right? I'll go through and split them up. Tens place, the ones place, the tens place, and the hundreds place. So now we can just go through and add. Or subtract, excuse me. 7 minus 0, 7. 5 minus 0 is 5. 4 minus 9, we can't do, so we got to borrow again. 14 minus 9 would give us 5. And then 1 minus 0 would give us 1. And then we bring our decimal point down. We're all good to go. So I hope this helped a little bit. I'm going to be giving you guys some additional problems that you can work on, and they'll be right here in the bottom right corner. 51.9 minus 33.1, 19.494 minus 10.594, 80 minus 55.826, and 300.12 minus 99.99. And then the challenge problem at the bottom if you want to give yourself a little bit of challenge and work on it and see if you can test the limits of what you know. I hope this was helpful. This can kind of go in hand with the addition video. Hopefully it's a great review, and I hope you all are staying safe and that all of your families are well. Catch you in the next one.